911. What
All right, guys and gals and non-binary pals and ladies and lady killers, welcome to the next episode of Real Vile. This is super exciting. We're continuing our coverage of Women in Horror Month. I am Germ T. Ripper, along with my co-host, Killer Kelli Miller, and Big Ruthless Chris. This is going to be a great episode. We're going to be talking about the seminal 1987 female-directed vampire film, Near Dark. It's a classic. If you haven't seen it, you're gonna want to listen. You might hear some spoilers, but that doesn't matter. Because you're gonna thoroughly enjoy hearing us talk about it, and then you're gonna go watch it. And even if you have seen it, you're gonna watch it again because you're gonna want to watch it because you hear us talk about it. Anyways, after all that, why don't you say hi to the folks there, Kelli and Chris?
Hey.
What's going on, guys? How you guys been?
Dude, life has been.
Are you waiting for an answer?
What was that?
No, he said, "How you guys been?" I was like, "Are you waiting for an answer?"
Well, I'm gonna give him one, whether he's waiting for one or not.
I am.
Oh, I thought you were talking to the fans. I was like, "How you guys been?" Never mind.
Oh, was he? Were you, Chris?
No.
Yeah,
why would I be talking to the fans?
They're not going to answer, Kelli.
I'm sorry.
If you want to slide into my chat and just let me know how you've been, feel free not to.
Feel free not to.
I've been all right.
I'm a busy guy.
Yeah. Anywho, you guys been up to anything new or exciting?
Not really exciting. I got a new dryer, and then in the process of trying to hook it up, I somehow unplugged my sub pump. So then my basement started flooding. It's been a week, man. Dryer still doesn't work. Like, I had the fucking dryer people come out and check out the dryer. Apparently, it's not even the dryer's fault. I don't have enough power going to the dryer to get it to heat. But my basement... What?
How is that even possible?
I guess it takes a certain amount of power to turn it on, but it takes more power to make it have heat.
You would think it would take more power to spin the drum.
I've had a dryer before, man. It's been a week. It's been a week for me. I'm a little sick of.
You bought a car too.
I bought that a couple weeks ago. That's old news.
we were gone a couple weeks ago.
Is the car and the dryer the same thing? Are you drying clothes in your car, Kelli?
No. I need to dry clothes somewhere though, because this is getting ridiculous. Like fucking Laundry Mountain.
You can just, like,
you know what really sucks though? The fact that my old dryer didn't heat, so I don't even think I needed the new one at all. It's been my basement problem the whole time. So I got a new dryer to replace the one that has the same problem, which is not heating. Fucking hell. Anyway.
Yikes.
Wow.
Stripes, fruit stripes, gum. That sounds crazy.
Yes.
All right. How about you, Chris? Are you having dryer issues too, or how's your dryer?
I am proud to say I can happily report my dryer game is deluxe. I have the driest, crispest clothes. I've been doing laundry today. My dryer is spinning beautifully. It's at the right temperature. My plug game is not bitch made. Aside from that, I went out and I checked out the Circle 6 show out in Cleveland over the weekend. That was a lot of fun. Mike put on a good show out there. It was really wild because they just said fuck it and did it death matches in Ohio anyway, which is something you're just not supposed to do. So kudos on them for being fucking crazy on that. But great show. There's a place called the Mercury Lounge, which I had never been. It's out in Lakewood. I thought I'd been everywhere out there, but I had never been to this place. It was kind of cool. But aside from that, just getting ready for Jersey. That's about it on my end.
Very cool. It sounds like an exciting time. That looked like a good show. I hope that they posted on IWTV.
They actually did it live. That's like I think the first time they did a live one on IWTV since the one with us at Harpo's.
Nice. Very exciting. I can't wait to check that out. Yeah, me, myself, and I, as we were talking about earlier, I got to go to ICW No Holds Barred in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Dude, when they announced Tank versus Matt Tremont, which are two of my favorites, both for their in-ring prowess and for how handsome I think both of them are, I had to go. I had to drive 10 hours and see this for myself, and I was not let down. It was an amazing show from beginning to end, till the wheels fall
Now,
off, as they say. I love ICW No Holds Barred, and so I was very excited about that, and it was great to get out of Chicago. It was funny as soon as I was coming back and I reached the city limits, I was like, oh yeah, it's dark and cold and miserable here. I want to go back to Tennessee already. I hope
you
that
should try
doesn't get me
living in.
canceled. What's that?
You should try living in Toledo if you want dark and cold and nasty.
Oh yeah.
We look at Chicago like a vacation.
It's cold there. Chicago's a lot
Now,
colder though this time of year.
when you say 10 hours, is that 10 hours each way?
Well, there was a time
Total.
change difference. What's that?
Or is that like total like 5 hours each way?
No, it was 10 hours each way.
Wow. All right.
Yes. Yes, and I did it by myself, which
Oh shit.
I was proud of myself for doing it. And it was a great ride. It was funny because my therapist said, maybe this ride through the country to clear your head and just enjoy the scenery is something that will be good for you. And it 100% was. It was
Hell yeah.
beautiful. And I thoroughly enjoyed the drive. Get to listen to some music, listen to some podcasts and books on, everything, because it was 10 hours. But it was a great time, great weekend. And I just got some incredible news right before I came on, logged in to record the show. Is that POW Entertainment? I am going to be the ring announcer for their Pride show, June 4th. And they booked Effie for the show. So
nice.
I totally marked out for that. I popped for it big time, and I just couldn't believe we got like the biggest LGBTQ star going on our show. So I'm besides it being 4 days before my birthday, I'm ring announcing, and we got Effie for the show. I'm like, it doesn't get much better than that. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. But hey, let's get the show on the road and start talking about some movies we've been watching. Let's talk about some horror. Let's talk about some exploitation. Killer Kelly, what movie do you want to talk about first?
Okay. I've watched a shit ton of Rocky this week, although I'm not going to talk about it.
Hey, some of those movies are pretty bloody and violent. If you want to talk about it, slip it in,
my boyfriend never
I
seen
must
any of them.
correct
So, yeah, my boyfriend never seen any of them. So we put the first one on and just went all the way through the Creeds. Now all I need to do is see the new Creed. But yeah, I've been watching all the
Isn't that
Rockies.
like 8 movies?
Yeah, that's about it.
That's a lot of them.
There's a lot.
Dude, we watched
Did you
3
throw
of them back to
Balboa
back.
in the middle too? Because there's the one
Yeah.
between the Rockies and the
Yeah.
Balboa.
Balboa. Yeah, that was kind of sad, man. Rocky 1 through 4, though, those ones are fucking gold, dude. Gold.
Yeah.
Anyway, besides the Rocky movies, this week I watched this movie on Shudder, 2022. This one, it's an Irish movie called Nocebo. Directed by Lorcan Finnegan and written by I didn't recognize any other movies that they've done. But this one follows a Christine. She's a children's fashion designer. In the beginning, she's having a fashion show and she gets an important phone call and she goes into the back, and they don't explain what's happening, but you can tell some shit's going down that she doesn't want to deal with. At the same time, she sees this like mangy dog walk into the place she's at, and it's got like fleas and ticks and shit all over it, and it shakes, and one lands on her and bites her, and like it kind of disappears. So you're like, was this thing in her head? What is this? Is this some kind of fucking ghost dog? What the hell? Well, like months later, ever since then, she's had this weird ass illness that she can't explain. Like she's getting severe headaches and like memory loss and crazy anxiety. Like it's debilitating. She gets the shakes and shit. And she forgot that she hired this Filipino caretaker to come into her house and kind of take care of her. Like she completely forgot. The lady shows up at her doorstep and she's like, "You hired me and told me to show up today." So like her name's Diane. Diane starts getting like seeing her illness and shit, and she's like, "I can help you," and starts using like folk medicine, and it becomes like darker. The folk medicine, you start second guessing, like, is this lady here to fucking help her, or is this something else? I don't know. I liked this movie. It was pretty gory, although I mean not gory, but it had some like disturbing scenes that were all right. I mean, it doesn't sound that exciting. It's pretty predictable, but I thought it was fucking good, though. Like, the way it was told was, like, kind of like a gradual build. It was, I don't know. I thought it was a good movie. I'd give it a 3.5. It kept you engaged, even though I was like, yeah, that's what's going on. I called it the beginning of the movie, and it was what was going on. But other than that, I mean, it was enjoyable. Yeah, Nocebo, 2022.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Have you seen this one, Chris?
No, but I did notice that like in the last couple months, there's just a lot of nanny horror coming out.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Because that new Spoonful of Sugar is a nanny horror too. That's that Shudder original, and then The Nanny that I watched in December. It seems like a lot of nanny horror going on right now.
Weird.
And, yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like a lot all at once. But no, I haven't seen it. It just hit Shudder, I think.
It's okay, man. It's okay. Like, it's not awesome. I wouldn't say it's amazing, but it's worth a watch at least once, you know? It was good storytelling, good visual effects, good acting. Like, all around, it was a decent fucking movie. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was definitely interested in checking this one out. It's got a great name, a very unique name, and I like the trailer. It looked really cool, and you know, even though, like Chris was saying, this seems like a popular story arc right now, you know, it still sounds like it still piqued my interest. I'm glad you checked it out, Kelly. 3.5 sounds like a good score. Streaming on Shudder. Can't wait to check it out. What's the first one you want to talk about, Chris?
I'm going to talk about one I just finished watching before I came on here. This is 1999's based on a Stephen King story, Trucks. Went in blind on this thing. It is just Maximum Overdrive. They remade Maximum Overdrive. It's nowhere near as good. You got no Emilio, none of that. None of the actors have any charisma, but it pretty much is the same storyline. Like trucks come to life. In this, it's not like everything. Like in Maximum Overdrive, like remember like carving, like electrified knives were coming to life, and like arcade machines and coffee machines and shit. Anything that was electric was coming to life. This is just cars, well, specifically more like trucks. But you have a ragtag group of people trying to live at a diner that is surrounded by trucks that are taking on a life of their own. It sucked. It was not good. I can't really say a whole lot more to it because everyone's already seen Maximum Overdrive. Just imagine that, but take the fun out. There was one scene that really cracked me up though. And I mean, after I told you it sucks, I don't imagine you want to watch it anyway, but so I'm going to spoil a scene. A man gets killed by a possessed like Tonka truck. Like like it's this big, like it's the kind that like a toddler would like walk behind and push around. Yellow, you know, like dump truck, and it's just backing up and hitting the side of this guy's head. He's running, he falls, and he's just as he lays there, and it lets him hit him about 14 times until his head finally breaks open. That was pretty funny. I would like to get a GIF loop of that. But aside from that, yeah, this movie sucked. Go watch Maximum Overdrive. Maximum Overdrive is a weird fever dream because it's the only movie Stephen King made himself, and he said he was on so much cocaine he does not even remember making it. So watch Maximum Overdrive. Truck sucked. 1 star.
One star. That's harsh, bro.
Actually, you
What
know
is
what?
it streaming?
I'll give it one. I'll give it 1.5. Just for the truck scene, push it because like that gave me a true giggle. Like I actually rewound it.
All
Like,
right,
and I
one and
haven't
a
done that
half.
since the teeth scene at the end of Monkey Shines.
That's legit. 1.5. If somebody does want to put themselves through this torture, even though I salute you, you took one for the team watching trucks for us, so we don't have to. If somebody does, is it streaming somewhere?
Tubi, I watched on Tubi.
Tubi. All
Yeah,
right,
and
sounds
it
good.
was one of those ones where I was going through Tubi and like I was like, and then like that looked like the least appealing one, and that's why I watched it. It has a
I've
really
been there.
dumb cover. It's like
I've
a
been there.
skeleton driving a truck.
Oof. Yeah, I kind of remember when it came out, and I was just like, no thanks.
Yeah,
As I had just 99, you said I graduated college in 99. So, um, yeah, I remember skipping that one. I think it was a sci-fi original at the time, actually. But
USA.
oh, USA
Because
original.
it does start with a USA film, so it was a made-for-TV USA film.
Rough, rough.
It was also
Okay.
PG-13.
Yikes, stripes.
All the
Okay.
gore was in the little dump truck scene.
Yeah, if we could just fast forward to that, it would be
I'm
perfect.
gonna see if I can find just that clip.
Do it. I double dare you. All right. Well, on to moi. I'm gonna talk about a 1992 PG-13 horror action comedy. You know, some people poo-poo this movie. I think it's great. I'm gonna be talking about Fran Rubel Kazui's film Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh hell yeah. I
If you've
love this movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, me too.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's so much fun. It really is, and the cast is amazing.
Hmm.
You know, if I'm sure most people know what or who Buffy the Vampire Slayer is, either from this movie or the long running television show. But if you don't, it's about a flighty teenage girl, Buffy Summers. She learns that she is in her generation's destined battler of vampires. It's wacky, it's campy, it's funny, it's action packed. It is so much fun. It's written by Joss Whedon, which I didn't know.
Yep.
And the cast is incredible. Christy Swanson, Donald Sutherland, and this was Paul Rubin's first comeback role from his big scandalous wank in a movie theater. So you know,
Scandalous wink.
that made me. I remember when it came out, I popped for that originally, just because I loved Pee Wee's Playhouse, and I loved his cameos and stuff in like the Cheech and Chong movies. Um, Before that, and even his live show, his live Pee Wee's Playhouse show, which is much more adult oriented to begin with. But to come back in this campy PG-13 horror comedy action fantasy film, to not say so many words, a genre film, and now it's a classic. It's, you know, it'll bring you back to the 90s. It'll bring you back to like that fun time when people were doing silly things, but it wasn't being I don't think that it was really interpreted that well at the time.
No.
Looking back on it, I think it's great. But at the time, people just didn't know how to have a sense of humor about horror and about action. Like it, I feel like a lot of people wanted things to be more serious back then, and thankfully, you know, it's streaming on HBO Max right now. And yeah, I would definitely give this one a 3.5. You guys, you've both seen this, obviously. What
Hmm.
would you say about it?
I'd say 3.5 is good, dude. I love this one. And compared to the series, I was not a fan of the series at all. There's a complete contrast there, you know? The series was too teen drama for me. Whereas this is more fun. Like you said, it's more of a comedy. It's more, I don't know, comedy horror. It's great. I love this one. It's a classic. I was really young. How loose is your goose? The whole like
My goose is
cheerleader
totally
cheer.
loose.
Dude, I remember being like 12 watching that and doing that. Like this is an old one for me. I was really young when I first seen this, but I'll always love this one.
The entire time you were talking about it, the how loose is your goose? My goose is totally loose. Theme
My
song was
goose
going
is
through my head.
totally loose.
So this one holds a big place in my heart because I seen it a lot when I was younger.
Yeah.
There was a library close to my house, and they had like a small section of VHS tapes, and you could just take them out like a book.
Mhm.
So like if I had nothing to do or something, I'd go rent me a book at the or rent me a movie at the library, and they didn't have a lot of good ones. There's a lot of like Oscar bait, like My Left Foot and The Color Purple, stuff like that. But they had Buffy and like Blank Man and a bunch of other ones that were just kind of weird outskirt ones. So I'd seen Buffy a lot. I've actually never seen the TV show, but I love this fucking movie. It has like such a fun feel to it. It feels like it takes place in the same world as like Heathers and Pump Up the Volume. You know what I'm saying? Like they all have that like kind of weird sensibility to them, like how the kids act, dress, and like that whole thing. I think to what you were saying, I think it probably would be more popular if it came out post Clueless, like when that whole like style and sense of humor became like the social norm, But yeah, I'd give it 4. I think it's
I changed my rating. The more you talked about it, the more I'm like, yeah, you're right. I love this movie. I do change my rating to a 4, if not 4.5.
The one thing I do like, I also really like about it is that everything else is like really contemporary for the time, except for the main vampire still has that classic vampire look and feel to him. Even though like even his minions like Paul Rubens running around in a leather jacket with a ponytail and goatee, looking like a badass biker and shit. Yeah.
No, Luke Perry's not. Is Luke Perry in it?
Yeah, he's in it. He's
I thought so. Yeah.
He's the love interest.
Yeah.
And Arquette's in it too.
Arquette, I was just about to say, isn't fucking Arquette in it too?
Yeah, he's kind of playing like a nod to Evil Ed from Fright Night.
Yeah. Fright Night's a great film too.
Such a great cast. A great cast.
Yeah, I didn't know it was on HBO Max. I'm gonna have to watch that this week.
Hell yeah,
absolutely.
Teenager.
Yeah, I could totally watch that again. Thank you for that, Germ.
Hey, no problemo. That's what I'm here for, baby. Anyways, what's the next one you want to talk about, Killer Kelly?
This one was a different one. I stumbled across this on Tubi, and after I stumbled across it, I didn't realize how many damn mermaid movies there are. This one is Mermaid Down 2019. This one was all right. It starts out, there's some old fishermen, and they're telling the tales of some mermaids, and they set out to go catch themselves a mermaid. And they're talking about if they catch one, like, you gotta chop her tail off and then drag her in that way because they've survived so many centuries. They might, have some magic ways to get out. So they find a fucking mermaid, gets caught in their net, and, there's a psychiatrist on a boat, like kind of off a little ways, and he sees what's going down, and he's like, oh shit. So he like kind of swims to their boat, and he kind of hijacks it, gets on there and hides, and he's like looking through a hole as they go through the whole thing of chopping off the mermaid's tail. Like the beginning's kind of brutal, dude, and you're like, she's like screaming this high-pitched like siren sound, like, I can't do it. I can't make mermaid sounds, but
try.
No, I was about to. But yeah, I mean the beginning's pretty fucking brutal. I was like, oh damn, like this movie was all right. And then it shows months later, it shows her like kind of getting better, or like his studies of her. This psychiatrist is kind of obviously like studying her and shit. And then months later, she's in a psychiatric hospital for girls, and she has legs now. And they explain that. They explain it's like a process. Like when you remove the mermaid's tail, it kind of like gets all cocoony, and then the legs form. Like she can't really use them very well. But she's in this home for girls, which this is where the movie kind of turns, and it becomes like a feeling of like, remember Girl Interrupted?
No.
Like it kind of gives off that vibe. It's got Winona Ryder, Angelina Jolie. It's like an old 90s movie. I loved that movie.
I remember the trailer for it, but I never actually saw the movie.
It's a great movie, actually. But like it kind of turns into that sort of concept. Like the whole concept completely changes, and the movie's not as good from that point. Like it's not as brutal, but like I mean, I still give this movie three stars for originality. Like I love the storyline. Yeah, they kind of find out that psychiatrist, there's more to him. Like, he's fucking shady and he's got some shady shit going down. So now these girls are plotting to like get out with the mermaid, you know? And that's kind of what the movie becomes. But it was all right, man. I give it 3 stars for originality. Like, you don't see many mermaid movies, but apparently there are quite a few on
Oh,
Tubi.
there is a fuck ton, Kelly. It's like a whole subgenre
I
that
like
people don't
it.
think about.
I like it. But this one was all right, man. It's on Tubi, Freevee, Peacock, Plex. Like, not a bad movie. Not bad at all. It's pretty brutal in the beginning, but then it kind of loses that momentum. But it's still a decent watchable movie. Like, it kept me engaged. I was like, what the fuck, you know? Yeah. I'd
Awesome.
recommend it.
I haven't watched too many mermaid horror movies. I know
Mhm.
I've seen a few, and it's horrible that I say that, and I can't think of any at the time. But just one more time for the viewers at home, what's the name of this movie again?
Mermaid Down.
Mermaid Down, and it's
Mhm.
streaming on Tubi.
Tubi, Freevee, Peacock, Plex. Yep.
Sweet.
Yeah.
3 stars. It sounds like a goodie. Might have
It's
to check it out.
decent. It's decent. Like I said, it's not amazing. You know, you can tell it's a little lower budget, and it was all right though. Like, I'd recommend it. At least one watch. Give it at least one watch if you want to see something different. You know.
Yeah. You got to appreciate something different, an original idea,
Mhm.
because there's too many copycats out there doing the same thing over and over. So hell yeah, 3 stars, Tubi, Mermaid Down, check it out. Ruthless Chris, how about you? What do you got next for us, baby?
So I'll be vague about it because it's still kind of new. But I went and saw the new Scream. I invited Kelly along, but she was fighting her dryer as it exploded in her basement, as they told. But I went. I work next to the mall, and I get off work at like the afternoon sometimes. Sometimes I'll go see a flick, and I went and saw Scream opening day. Um, I liked it a lot. I didn't think it stuck the landing. It's one of those ones where when the killer reveal came, I didn't really like that aspect of it so much. It's the brutalest one in the entire series, even more so than the first. It's extremely gory. You know how in like some of the Scream movies, Ghostface is kind of like bumbling and tripping over shit, and you know, like they're hitting him with stuff. He's getting fallen over. You know, he's kind of like a Looney Tune. Like not in this one. This is back to being extremely brutal, like the first couple. Um, some of the legacy characters they brought back were kind of cool. I thought Courtney Cox didn't do anything for this movie. Like she's in it, but I don't really know why. I'd give it 3.5. I've heard of people saying it's like the best one of the series, and it's so good. And to me, the ending fell really, really flat. Like it was one of those ones where I was like 3/4 the way through it, I was like, "This is fucking great! Like they're really doing a good job with this." And then I think the ending just didn't work. They utilized New York really cool in it, like this being the first one that's not in Woodsboro. Like they used a lot of cool New York set pieces. Like I know on the preview, you guys probably saw like the subway where the lights are blinking, and there's a bunch of people on Ghostface outfits on there because this movie takes place around Halloween, so like a lot of people are just costumed, and the Scream universe is Stab, so everybody's dressed like Stab. But yeah, I would definitely check it out. Worth seeing in theaters. It had one of the highest grossing opening weekends of any Scream movie. So we're still going strong on horror in theaters, which means hopefully that translates us and getting a bunch more horror films through the theaters. But yeah, definitely check it out. But yeah, just for me, just the ending, like the killer reveal wasn't that great for me. Aside from that, it was a great movie.
Very cool.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
no, a couple hours ago, I just saw that Jamie Kennedy tweeted out congratulations to Scream 6 for being the highest grossing Scream movie. So yeah, even if the ending isn't the best, I still feel like that's important that horror is raking in the money, and horror is going to have a great place in cinema where that it's a viable option to put, producers will put money behind it. And yeah, I haven't heard any bad things about it, just that it's brutal, and I love brutal movies, so I'm gonna have to definitely check that out. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for thanks for checking it out for us, Chris, and let us know that it's good. It's some good stuff.
Absolutely.
I hated part 3. I haven't seen part 4. And for me, 5 was like, oh, that was a movie. It was like, it wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It was a movie. But to know that 6 is good, except for the ending falls a little flat, makes me want to check it out.
Watch part 4. You'll like it. Part 4 is one of my more favorite I think it's number 2. Like, I think for me, it goes 1, 4, 2, 5, or 5, 6, 3.
Oh,
I gotta watch 3 again. I haven't seen that one in a minute.
It's awful.
I hate 3. That's what turned me off to the franchise.
3
like,
is
I
real
didn't,
bad.
I'm trying to remember it, man. That's the only one I really don't remember.
It's the one that takes place in Hollywood for some of it around the movies when they start making the stab movies.
They
Jada
tried to do
Pinkett-
like a remake premise, I think.
Does
Remember
Jada Pinkett
correctly?
die in the beginning?
No, that's part 2.
Okay.
No, it was Cotton Weary.
Oh nope, I don't remember that one at all. Yeah.
Oh, I know it was Cotton Weary's girl. It's been a while. We're over here ruining shit.
But you said, what do you give it? 3.5?
3.5, man. Like if they would have stuck the landing, it probably would have been one of my. It's one of those ones where I think the meat and potatoes, most of it, is one of the strongest in the franchise, but they just didn't nail the who and why at the end. To where it felt like it just jumped off the cliff at the end to me. Like, you ever just be like way into a movie and then the ending happens, you're like, oh, what?
Yeah.
No, okay,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah, that's always a bummer.
yeah. So it was one of those for you, but the first 3/4 of it are really good, and it has extremely high kill count, very gory, and probably the most brutal Ghostface has been in a long time.
Very
I
cool.
like that. I like that.
Yeah.
A lot of guts, a lot of decapitations and dismemberments, and it's gory as fuck.
Well, can't wait to check it out. Might have to check it out on my next day off. We'll see how it goes. See if I get a day off because life is crazy. But let's keep this terror train going. And the next movie I want to talk about is 2014's. This was actually one of my top movies of that year. I remember writing about it for Daily Grindhouse when I was writing for them regularly. It's a Vice Entertainment original. It's also distributed by Kino Lorber. It is A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. Holy crapola, I love this movie. I've watched it before, I've watched it again, and I will watch it again. You have a skateboarding Iranian female vampire. It doesn't get much more revolutionary than that. It's directed by Anna Lily Amirpour. The stars are pretty much unknowns, but the fact that it's supposed to take place in Iran, an Iranian ghost town, bad city, reeks of death and loneliness. The townspeople are unaware they're being stalked by a lonesome vampire is amazing. Just because, a lot of times in Iranian culture, women are second class. There's no other way to beat around the bush. They're second class. And just to have this take place in Iran and have a female skateboarding vampire, it's so punk rock. It's so revolutionary. I can't say enough good things about this movie. So smart, so well done. And that's black and white. I was a little bummed out when I discovered that it wasn't actually filmed in Iran, that it was filmed
I was going to tell you that.
I was filmed in California, but at the same time, kudos for them for having it take place there. But yeah, I love this movie. I give it 5 stars. This is a second female directed vampire movie I'm talking about, and I'm, leading up to the big one. But have you guys seen this one? A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night?
No,
Yes.
I almost watched it. I almost watched it a couple times. I really love the cover, and yeah, I don't know why I haven't yet. Damn
It's
it.
way up your alley, Kelly. You would like it.
Yeah, it's on all my lists, like lists on fucking Prime. Isn't it on Tubi too? It's on my Tubi list. I don't know why the hell I haven't watched
everywhere.
it. I know.
Yeah, it is streaming on Pluto TV, Tubi, and funny enough, if you want to watch it on Prime Video, it's $2.99 when you can watch it for free on Pluto or Tubi, and Plex. But yeah,
Yeah.
I give it 5 stars. Chris,
Okay.
you've seen it then, I'm guessing by your comments. What do you think of this
Yes.
film?
I enjoy it a lot. This was a fun watch for me because I kind of went in blind, not knowing what to expect. It was one of those ones I picked it up at Family Video just because of the cover. I thought the box looked interesting. I went in blind and it was really cool. The black and white. You know what it reminds me of is you guys seen Naja?
I don't know. That
Sounds
sounds
super
familiar.
familiar.
It does
It's
sound familiar.
a like an early 90s like art house vampire movie that was also in black and white that like was half directed by David Lynch.
That sounds
That
familiar as fuck.
Yeah, it's basically like a vampire and a familiar, feeding on this in the streets, and then you have God, what the fuck was the guy's name? The guy from Easy Rider. Whatever. Is like the Van Helsing character, but it reminded me of that, but like a more contemporary version of it. I really liked it a lot. Definitely highly recommend. 4.5 for me.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Sweet, yeah. If you like not even if you like art house films, I'm gonna say, because it does have a skateboarding female vampire. It's just punk rock as hell. Yeah, 5 from me. Go watch it if you haven't seen it. Highly recommended. Do it. And on that note, let's keep this train rolling. And Killer Kelly, what do you got to talk about? Last round before we go to Near Dark.
Oh, the last one I watched was just mediocre to me. I was still following like the early 2000s vibe and woke up and seen this one on Paramount Plus. This is Case 39 starring Renee Zellweger. It was Renee Zellweger plays a social worker. She's been like overloaded at work, really stressed out. She's got like 38 cases on her plate that she's got to deal with. When this other case falls in her lap with this abused child, and she's trying case 39, obviously. The parents are really like heavily abusing the child. She knows some shit's going on. Well, she busts their door down right at the time that they're trying to cook this kid in the oven. So so yeah, needless to say, she takes the kid away, puts it in like, state care, but she's got this weird attachment to the kid. And, she's obviously like, well, can't it just come with me? So she lets the kid stay with her instead of in the foster home while it's finding a new family. She soon discovers that this kid probably should have been put in the oven. For one, the little girl's name is Lilith, if that tells you anything. This is a creepy story, a demonic kid kind of following in the route of like the Omen or something. It was okay. Like there was some like hornet scenes with like the kid gets what she wants because she's obviously Satan, or has ties to Satan. It was all right, man. It was just mediocre. It was more of a thriller with like a demon angle, demon kid, creepy kid angle. I'd say it's worth one watch. I'd give it about a 2.5 though. Renee Zellweger, 2009 creepy kid movie. Mm-hmm.
I feel like that was like one of those movies. I kind of remember what the case looks like.
Yeah.
That right after The Ring came out, remember there was like a shit ton of PG-13 like creepy kid movies like The Messenger and Skeleton Key and shit
like around the time of The Sixth Sense and stuff like that. Yeah.
It's like we're gonna make everything PG-13 and it's always gonna be creepy kids.
This was one of those. I think the actress that played Lilith did a great job. I think she did a better, more convincing job than Renee Zellweger did in this movie. But shocking. I mean, it was yeah. It was all right. It was just meh. I wouldn't say it's amazing. I wouldn't say it was shit either. Like I give it a 2.5. I think that's fair.
All right. Very cool. Case 39, 2.5 stars. What's it streaming on, baby?
Paramount Plus.
Paramount Plus. That's right. You did say that. Mm-hmm. I am paying attention. Yeah. So 2.5, Case 39, Paramount Plus. You had me at cooking the kid in the oven. I might have to check it out just for that angle. The Hansel and Gretel business, baby. I can't not.
Yeah, at first you're like, what the fuck? Are they trying to cook that kid? And then you find out why. You're like, well, they probably should have.
I might want to cook a kid once in a while.
Well,
They
does
might
that
be a
mean they gotta
demon.
eat them though? Like, you could kill them like
There was like
they
a
had to prepare
certain.
them for a meal.
I think there was like I don't remember exactly. I watched this probably. This is one of the first ones I watched in between all the Rocky movies. So we got a little blurred by Rocky Balboa.
This kid's evil. Fricassee that son of a bitch up. We're eating him tonight.
No, they
Nothing
definitely
better
were going to
than-
eat her. I think they were just trying to kill her with fire.
That's all. Just try to kill that baby with fire.
Yeah.
That's legit. Sometimes you gotta kill a baby with fire, And nothing tastes better than demonic babies, right? Bake it at 375. Put some paprika on that demonic baby.
Right.
Ooh la la. Okay, Ruthless Chris, what do you got next for us?
I was deciding which one I was going to talk about. See, I watched a really bad made-for-TV movie called Mommy, but I think I'm going to skip that one just because it sucked.
There was one I turned off this week too. I'm like, no, I can't even. I'm just not.
The other one I watched was interesting. It was called The Boogeyman. It's from 1981. Not to be confused with there's like a much more recent, I think it was like early 2000s one called The Boogeyman. It had nothing to do with this. This is a straight up slasher. Pretty low budget. The setup is you have how in every movie or every 80s movie you got the shitty mom who's fucking the nasty guy and not taking care of her kids. Well, it starts out with that. You never see what the guy's face looks like because in the open scene he pulls her pantyhose off and he puts them on, and like he's just wearing them while he's fucking her, and she's got a bottle of liquor and her two kids are just watching. They're like 6 and 8, and they're just like standing on the side of the room, just like, well, so this is happening in our living room right on the couch. The guy starts getting annoyed that the kids were watching, goes and like ties the son up to the bed, and then goes and starts, pound away at the mom. The daughter lets him go. The kid ends up killing the guy in the ski or in the pantyhose. You never see his face in the beginning. That comes into play later. Apparently his soul possesses the mirror that was in the room that they were banging in after he got killed. So somehow when they were adults now, that mirror, they like get it at a garage sale or some shit, and they put it up on the wall and it gets cracked. And as long as the mirror's whole, it's fine. But once it gets cracked, the little killer can come out of all the little pieces of the mirror. And it's just that guy with a knife and the ski mask on. It's worth a watch. I'll probably never go back to it. But there was some pretty cool scenes. It was pretty bloody. There was some dialogue scenes though that made my fucking brain want to melt out of my ear sockets. There's like a lot of just like families sitting eating turkey around the dinner table trying to pretend to conversate like a family would, but it's like strangers. I don't know. Boogeyman was good. I know some people consider this thing a classic. I would not put it in that aspect. I'd probably just give it like a 2.5, light 3. I mean, it does everything it sets out to do, but it's not really necessarily a fun or great watch. It's just kind of run of the mill. So that was The Boogeyman. And also I watched Mommy, the made for TV 1990s killer mom movie. And that kind of sucked. So watch that either.
Yeah, the one that kind of sucked for me that I couldn't finish was #horror on Tubi.
Oh yeah. No, I wrote a review of #horror, and
so you watched it too.
Well, this was years ago. It was, it's really hard to get through. I feel like I gave it a good review just because I used to give everything a good review. I was no help to anyone. I tried to find what I liked about a movie and talk about that instead of like the harsher angles. But no, cannot. No.
I got about halfway. I was like, how fucking long is this shit? And I was like, oh hell no, I'm only halfway.
It just keeps going and going.
I was like, I don't even want to see this out.
It's imagine if Bodies wasn't a good movie. It's
played by 12-year-old girls.
Played by 12-year-olds.
I still need to see that.
Yeah.
I still Bodies
is an amazing movie with a great ending. #horror. very
Yeah, but
similar in like the concept and everything, but just doesn't have that execution.
Oh,
And
fucking hell.
the cast is great. It's a bad movie.
Yeah. It was Natasha Lyonne that I seen her on there. I was like, I love her. I was like,
Right.
yeah, check this out. And I was like, dude, that one's painful to watch though.
Yes. And
Fucking
Chloe's Sevigny is in
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah. Yep.
Huh.
That's why I was like, huh. All right.
But Chris, Boogeyman, you said it. Where's it streaming?
I'm not sure. I pulled out a bunch of my DVD like multi-packs, like, you know, where you get like a DVD and there's like 4 movies on it. So it's actually sitting right here. This has been sitting on my shelf forever, but it has such a bad cover. I didn't watch it, but it's Boogeyman and Boogeyman 2. I don't think I'm gonna get into Boogeyman 2, Return of the Boogeyman. Because apparently that one's supposed to be just abysmal compared to this one. So,
Well, you can rent it for $1.99 on Amazon Prime. That's about the only place I see it streaming. So
I had to save your $1.99.
you just save your $1.99.
Wait for it to stream. It's worth the stream. It's not worth spending any money on.
I'll read now. Anywho, let's keep this train rolling because we're almost time to hit Spoiler Town. I got one last movie to talk about, and it's one that I saw in the theater, one that I love. This is the first one I'm going to talk about that is not a female-directed vampire movie, but it is a female-directed movie about a girl who likes to eat blood, so that's pretty similar. It is 2016's Raw.
I loved this one.
Yes, such a great movie. Directed by Julia DeCorno. And it's spectacular. It's such a smart, well-made film. You know, and if you've seen Titan, it's by the same director, and it's just, you know, there's going to be a lot of subtext. There's going to be a lot of allegory. But besides that, you know, it's got the body horror, it's got gore, and it's got substance. It's just really smart, really, really well done. If you don't know anything about Raw, it's basically about a young woman who's studying to be a vet who develops a craving for human flesh. Well, along the way, you know, she finds out that her older sister is also a cannibal, and, you know, they're cannibals together, and her older sister's helping her come to terms with her cannibalism. And yeah, you know, you can see strong allegory or a coming of age tale in the sense of like Ginger Snaps did it with werewolves, and this did it with cannibalism. Yeah, I love this movie. Another 5-star 2010s movie. I'd give it 5 stars. And it's streaming on Netflix. So if you have Netflix and you haven't seen Raw yet, definitely go do that as soon as possible because it's amazing. I was lucky to see it in the theater, and I'm glad that I did.
Nice.
Have you guys seen Raw?
Yeah, I actually recently just bought this movie at the little movie record exchange we have down the street. But yeah, I absolutely love this movie as well. I'd probably give it 4 stars, 4 or 4.5. It's great.
Sweet.
I
Chris,
have not seen it.
Oh,
No.
You haven't seen Raw?
It's on my list. It's high on my list of things to see. I've not heard anyone say anything bad about it. Everyone just raves and rants about how great it is. This is one of those things. Kelli can attest to this. I've just been on like this weird roll of just watching dog shit lately, like attracted to watching dog shit. Like the reason I watched The Boogeyman was they didn't have a good cover. It looked like dog shit. So I watched it. I got to get out of that hole. I don't know what's going on with me there.
Yeah, we all have.
I didn't talk about, but I also watched Carnosaur 2 the other day again. I watch it a couple times a year. It's just aliens, but they remade it with dinosaurs. It's fantastic.
I feel like you need Ruthless Chris. I feel like you need an intervention. I feel like this is a lot of self-harm. We're gonna
see, but see, I went and saw Scream as well, so that was a very high budget, quality horror movie. But yeah, then I came back and I just watched more dog shit.
But if you purposely watch dog shit, you're hurting yourself. Dear, put down the knife. Quit cutting yourself. A chemical romance is not a way of life.
I was never the emo guy. I punished myself with movies.
Right. I'm just kidding. JK, JK, LOL, winking smiley face, winking smiley face. Yeah, go watch Raw. 5 stars, Netflix. Do it now. And we're made it. We've made it to Spoiler Town, babies. And our film for the night, since it is Women in Horror Month, we are talking about the 1987 vampire classic, Near Dark. Oh my goodness gracious gravy. This is such a fantastic movie.
And now for our feature presentation.
If you haven't seen it, why haven't you seen it? This is spectacular. And it's funny, I'm ranting and raving about Near Dark. When the first time I watched it, I kind of dismissed it. I was like, meh. And it took me talking to, I know that I've mentioned her name. I've dropped her name a few times now. Heather Buckley. This is one of her favorite movies. She's the producer of The Ranger. And she loves Near Dark. She's like, rewatch this movie. So I watched it several times in the past few years since I've known Heather. And yeah, it blows me away every time how incredible this movie is. If you haven't seen it, it's about a small town farmer's son who reluctantly joins a traveling group of vampires after he's bitten by a beautiful drifter. Yeah, it does, and it's directed by Catherine Bigelow. I don't know if this is her first full-length film, or she had several before, but she's made some incredible films as well. Yeah, I can't say enough good things. And then the cast is just incredible. You know, Lance Henriksen, Bill Paxton, just so smart, so well done. Guys, jump in anytime. What do you have to say about Near Dark, 1987 vampire film, Catherine Bigelow?
Yeah. I really liked this one. This was a fun one. I seen it years and years ago, so this was like a good brush up for me. This is always good. It's got like kind of a feel of like Lost Boys. I kind of like this more than the Lost Boys personally.
This movie, Lost Boys was the curse of this movie. It came out as the same year, and with its overwhelming success, everyone thought it was a ripoff of the Lost Boys and paid it no mind in the theaters. And most people that have seen both feel that it's a superior film, myself included.
I agree.
It had been a little while since I had watched Near Dark, probably about like 10 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's been a minute.
What was great about it is I kind of forgot how it ended, and for some reason I thought Severin died much earlier. Like I didn't realize that Bill Paxton was in the whole movie. So like it was like almost like rewatching it with fresh eyes a little bit. This thing one of the things that really stood out to me on it today was like how fast it fucking moves. This thing is like a fucking freight train. Like it starts and it just does not relent. And one of the things I noticed was they don't really beat you over the head with useless conversations. They never say the word vampire. Like they everything they fill out all the subtext and everything you need to know in very creative, interesting ways. Like without making it like they're not like you can't go fuck the sun, like it's more like they're getting burned like fuck the sun, like like it's not spoon fed to you, but because you already you see the writing on the wall, you already know all the rules and what they are and all that. Like they don't have to tell you,
Yeah, absolutely. And you're absolutely correct with the fact that it was overshadowed by Lost Boys, and Lost Boys was a comic book caricature, it was funny, it was silly. Well, Near Dark is almost an entirely humorless film. It's just stunningly shot, great pacing. I love how this is paced, and it's got that Southern Gothic feel to it that not too many films capture, especially not horror movies, especially not vampire movies, especially not female directed vampire movies from the 80s. I mean, The I am I it's hard pressed for me to say that this is not the best vampire film made. I can't think of any other vampire film that I'd be like, oh, wait a minute, I'd rather watch that. There maybe like technically there might be better ones, but for me personally, if I was going to be like, oh, let's watch a good vampire movie, nothing campy, nothing silly, just straight ahead action, gore, smart dialogue, great acting, Near Dark wins, hands down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say enough good things about it.
Yeah, the it's definitely its own animal, but by the same time it like works in the traditions of modern vampire flicks, like I was talking about the rules earlier, but it's not campy at all. And the thing is about like Lost Boys was more of a coming of age acceptance into like this, but this was more like, it felt more like a tale about two families at war, like you have this new group that wants to bring him in, and they are like a family. Like I know Homer is supposed to be, this hundreds of year old creature, but he is constantly stuck in a child's body, and that is his constant foil in the movie, and even comes into play later, with him wanting to turn Sarah. That was her name, right? Sarah, the daughter, I think so.
Yeah, yeah.
But you also had a non-forced love story in the middle that was like the nucleus of it, that like a lot of times they really conk you over the head with this kind of stuff, but like they didn't really force it. Like it felt, and I think that might have come more from having a woman director and a woman's perspective, where it's like, we don't need a scene of them banging and like all that shit, because it's a little more like, even though they're like murderous, it's a little more tender.
Yeah, it was the relationship between those two. I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, like even after he leaves the family, and he goes outside and she's just waiting there for him by the swing, like that was her like unwittingly saying, like, hey, come back, or you make the decision to be with them, but Severin and Jess ain't gonna have that.
Yeah, the part with Homer and the little girl too. It made me wonder if like Anne Rice was influenced by that for Interview with the Vampire, writing the part of the little girl in there, because there was something kind of like that going on.
I'm not sure if that's a chicken or the egg situation, though. I'm not sure when that book came out.
I'm pretty sure this. Oh yeah, the book. You're right. Yeah, I wasn't thinking book.
Yeah, it's based on a book.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't have the knowledge to say that one predates the other, but I'm saying that might.
Yeah, I was just reminded of that scene when when I seen Homer get his sister. But I really enjoyed this movie. This is a good one. I think you're right. It would be in my top 5 vampire movies, if not top 3. Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and there's just so many interesting facts behind it. Like you're saying, they never say the word vampire. And then, for instance, the cast from James Cameron's Aliens almost overlaps in this with Bill Paxton and Lance Henriksen. And
by the way, not to cut you off, I'm gonna let you go. But if you notice, when he goes through town in the movie theater, is showing Aliens. But go on.
No, that's what I was about to say too. It's such a unique facet that like Catherine Bigelow and James Cameron were in a relationship at the time, and that relationship shows throughout the film.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize that her and James Cameron. Huh.
Yeah, and she, she went on to be an Oscar-winning director. She directed The Hurt Locker and won an Oscar. She directed Point Break. Like I think this is her only horror movie. She did that William Dafoe, The Loveless, the biker movie. Yeah, like she makes great films. Like this is an example of like, how like every once in a while, like a great filmmaker will be like, I'm gonna make a horror movie. Like Scorsese did it with Shutter Island, and you get like kind of like an exquisite experience. I think you have that here, but it was like just on a much smaller scale, because she didn't have the notoriety or wherewithal. Like this is still her cutting her teeth, but it still had that competency in the filmmaking.
Well, I thought it was interesting you say that like this is pretty much her only horror movie, because originally she wanted to make a Western, and she was told, there's no interest in Hollywood for making westerns right now. You might want to interject some sort of genre aspect, some sort of horror aspect, since that was popular. And that's when it became like about vampires. So yeah, and it's definitely a western. You definitely feel that
100%.
western vibe.
Oh
through the
yeah, I
whole
can
thing.
totally see the western vibe with like the gang.
How could you not? I mean,
Yeah.
the Caleb rides a fucking horse into the final battle.
You're right. I didn't even
Wearing a
I didn't
cowboy
even
hat
put
with
two
a
and two
lasso.
together. The lassos, yeah, I don't know. It's a great movie.
Yeah, I mean, it was cowboy hats, pickup trucks, horses, and vampires is what it was.
Fuck yeah.
Um, the big scene everyone always talks about. Should we talk about the bar scene?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a stunner.
That
That
was
is
my favorite scene.
yeah, there isn't too many other movies that can replicate that. And even if they try to, it's not the same. But yeah, go for it, Ruthless.
Before I even get into that, just because I'm thinking about it, this actually set me down a weird rabbit hole. Because when I'm watching a movie, sometimes I'll pull up the letterbox or whatever. And apparently during this time, Bill Paxton had his own band called Martini Ranch, which is some weird country rock thing that he sang for. And James Cameron did the music videos for it. So I went and watched the music video afterwards, and it was filmed around the same time as this, and they used some of the sets and shit. And it's him like on a motorcycle, like it was his horse in a western. And there's like a bunch of like his like castmates, and it's directed by James Cameron. It was really weird. But this is some of Bill Paxton at his terrifyingly finest, showing the versatility of that guy. Like, I'm a big Bill Paxton fan. I think it's a real shame the guy passed. He could do every genre.
Mm-hmm.
He could flip from being like the lovable dad to, in this case, Severin, he was the unhinged psychopath.
Yeah.
And he played it really well. To whereas Lance Henriksen felt more like the reserved lion, just like laying there watching what's going on that could pounce at any moment. Like Severin was like the hyenas, like causing all the issues and shit. And the bar scene was a great showing of that. Like he's antagonizing the hillbillies, spilling the booze, taking other dudes' booze. He even makes them laugh for a second, which like cuts the tension off, and everything was gonna be fine. He's like, "Fuck it, no, we're gonna ratchet this shit back up." That was a great scene.
Yeah.
I've always found Homer's character really strange in this movie. Some of the choices that actor made. Like the first time you meet him, he walks up to Caleb and he's like, what, 8? And he just grabs dude by the dick and he goes, "My name's Homer, spelled Homer. And you better not mispronounce that." And I'm assuming that's a joke about homo. But you have a small child grabbing a man by the cock, even though he's supposed to be an old man. But then like there's things he's doing like in the background scenes, like in the bar scene, if you notice, like everyone's like kind of bellied up to the bar. They're at a booth, and then he's just laying on the table on his belly.
Yeah.
In the bar,
Yeah. He does do some weird shit in that movie. I noticed that too.
Yeah, I think that actor made some odd choices. But also I thought that the sub story, him wanting to turn someone that was his size so that he wouldn't be alone, kind of like really ratcheted some things up too, This is one of those things where like everything makes sense and everything is like there's no filler in this movie. It's just go, go, go,
Absolutely. 100% agree with that. And, I think that's why it's such a great movie. There is no downtime. You've got to be ready for that, for the emotional roller coaster, the action packed roller coaster that is Near Dark. And, it's a shame that it came out in the shadow of Lost Boys, because I feel like it would have a lot more notoriety if it came out at a different time period or a different year. I wouldn't say that I'd want to see a remake or anything like that.
I saw something similar that got made, I think in the late 90s, called The Forsaken. It was
that sounds familiar.
It was like kind of a mixture of the two, but they definitely leaned into the Near Dark storyline on it. They just got rid of the kid character, and it was about like abbed out teens and blondes.
Habbed out.
If I remember, they were all shirtless and muscular the whole time.
Sounds legit.
Yeah.
The thing that I think is funny too is that right around the time when Twilight was at its peak of popularity, the Twilight movies, the vampires and werewolves and like you were saying, the hot abbed up teens or whatever. They was it Lionsgate? I believe it was Lionsgate released Near Dark, and it's very hard to find now. But they released it with cover art that made it look like a Twilight movie. It was all like shadowy, and there was yeah. If you can find a picture of it, oof,
So weird.
it is wild to look at because somebody somewhere picked it up thinking, oh, this is going to be like Twilight, and it's not. It's brutal and action packed. There is like we were talking before, there is that relationship and a very passionate relationship, very meaningful, smart, well done. It's always comical when movie studios try to cash in and they like put out a different. It reminds me also of when Lord of the Rings movies were really popular, and they re-released Peter Jackson's Bad Taste, Dead Alive, and Meet the Feebles on DVD with a big banner at the top says from the director of Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
I can only
Like
picture
any of those fans would like those
Oh
movies.
man,
Yeah.
Meet the Feebles.
Yeah, I could only picture some mom picking this up at Tower Records or whatever and being like, "Oh,
The Feebles. I can show my kids this. It's Muppets.
Oh,
Right.
look, they're Muppets.
Yeah, Jimmy and Susie love Lord of the Rings. They'll love this too." Nay, nay. But anyways, yeah, cash grab, totally wheezed on the juice with that Twilight cover. If you ever check out that picture of it. But
The one
anyways,
I got has like a cool foil box, and it's like a double disc. It's got Severn all burned up, like when he was on the front of the truck, and like there's light coming out of him, but it's all like in like holograms and shit. Like I got some like weird deluxe edition I got like 12 years ago.
that's legit. That seems.
Hell yeah.
I would only imagine that's probably like the first pressing because when it came out on Blu-ray, it had that weird Twilight.
It was definitely a DVD pressing. This was pre Blu-ray.
Sweet.
No, I think Blu-rays were around, but I think DVD was still the dominant. Yeah.
All right. It was the dominant. It was
It
the
was the
dom,
dominant
baby.
media.
It was the dom. All right. Yeah, so but I definitely give it 5 stars, and it is streaming on Shudder, or if you have AMC Plus, it's also streaming on there. Check it out if you haven't already. Stars, what would you give it, guys?
I give it 4.5.
5 all day.
Yeah, 4.5,
There was-
5. Yeah, that's classic, man. 5.
There was no filler at all. I mean, like, even the littlest scenes like played the bigger scenes. Like, if you remember when he was going to get the first kill with the truck driver, the guy was explaining to him how he drove his semi, why that whole scene was going on where you're worried about him. But that comes into play later. He drives his fucking semi because the dude showed him how to earlier in the movie. Like, it's just so lean and fast and electric. Like, I can't recommend it enough. It's definitely a 5-star. Definitely worth seeing. It was cool to watch it today because it'd been so long, so I forgot how it ended. And that ending's a good little gut punch, So yeah, it's a good movie.
Sweet. So to recap, we love Near Dark. Definitely check it out. Shudder, AMC Plus, 4.5, 5 stars all around. In the meantime, to wrap up Women in Horror Month, we will have a guest. Director, producer, writer Lou Simon will be on talking about her films. I know her as the filmmaker for the movie 3 that came out in 2017, but she's done other things and she's got a new one coming out that we'll be talking about. So make sure you check out Real Vile next week when we're talking to Lou Simon. In the meantime, you guys got any closing words for all the ladies and lady killers out there in Real Vile land?
Nope. I don't have a lot. Watch more movies. I don't know. Chris, you got anything?
Watch some dog shit movies. It'll
Watch
do you
some
good.
dog shit movies.
I've been doing so much dog shit. It'll make you. It makes you appreciate when you get a tasty morsel like Near Dark so much more.
It does. Everybody needs some trashy movies in their life. Easy sleaze.
Definitely appreciate that. Eat some dog shit so you can appreciate the caviar. But in the meantime, all I gotta say is keep it spooky, keep it creepy, and keep it real vile forever. God bless America. Have a good time, guys. Hey, all you cats and kittens, all you ladies and lady killers out there in real vile land. This is your old pal, Mr. Germ T. Ripper, saying keep it spooky, keep it creepy, keep it real vile forever. And don't forget, like, subscribe, and share all our content. Ow!